You're listening to the Platform Launchers podcast. I'm John Stange. It's great to have you with us as always this week, where we talk about building, growing, and monetizing your online platform. We talk about taking your passion, turning it into a platform, and deriving a paycheck from that. And that's a really fun way to earn a living. And each week, as I record this podcast, I do so in front of a live audience. We have our members club live here on the call with me as I'm recording these words for you. I know some of you are listening via the podcast. Some of you are watching us via YouTube. It's always great to have you with us each week. And each week we try to talk about something that will help you build, grow, and monetize your online platform. And the subject we're going to be talking about this week is the concept of buy buttons. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with that term. There is a book by that name, and I'm going to be referencing that book in just a few moments, but we're going to be talking about buy buttons, and we're going to be talking about whether or not your customers are actually using them. Now, I want to share a couple stories with us this week. First of all, not long ago, this happened less than a month ago, I received a message from a man who had read my book, Build, Grow, and Monetize Your Online Platform. By the way, as I titled the book that, you notice some consistency with the messaging, right? It's all about building, growing, and monetizing that online platform. Well, I've got a book by that title, and I received a message from a man who had just read that. He had just finished reading it, told me he actually read it cover to cover, which I thought was really fun. And he was interested in building an online platform of his own, but he wasn't sure which direction to take because there were a few directions he could really take it. He had multiple ideas, but then he also mentioned the fact that he was still working a full-time job and did not want to make poor use of the limited free time that he had while he was building the platform. He wanted to be very efficient, so he thought, let me reach out to John, let me talk to John, let me see if John has some counsel on which direction to go. And so he emailed these details to me, and then he just asked a very simple question. And his simple question was this: do you offer coaching packages for people like me? Do you offer coaching packages for people like me? That's what he wanted to know. And so I replied and I told him that I did. And then I pointed him to the bottom of the homepage on my website where he could register for a session. And very soon after I replied to him, that's exactly what he chose to do. He clicked the button. He signed up immediately. He paid for the first of his coaching sessions, and we were underway. And so far, we've had an enjoyable time meeting together. Now, that's one story. File that away in the back of your mind. I just want you to think about that for a quick second. Something else happened, and this next something happened earlier today. So as I'm recording this podcast, what I'm about to share with you next is just a few hours ago it happened in my day-to-day life. But earlier today, I was talking to someone who had actually contacted me after hearing an interview I did on a podcast. Now, recently, just a couple months ago, I was a guest on Rich Avery's More Than a Pastor podcast, and this particular gentleman had heard that interview. Now, before I go on, Rich Avery is actually live here on the call with me. He's part of our members club. So, Rich, join us for a quick second here. Rich, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be a guest on your podcast not that long ago. It was great.
Thank you for being on the show. I was looking forward to having you, and I'm so glad that worked out.
Yeah, well, I think you do a great job hosting the show. The show's called More Than a Pastor. Rich helps pastors and others in ministry figure out ways that they can develop secondary sources of income or become co-vocational or all sorts of things like that. And Rich, as you're doing that show, what would you say is one of the main objectives that you hope people get out of listening to an episode of your podcast?
My main objective is to help pastors find ways to create income outside of their church. Many times pastors struggle financially in their current situation. Sometimes they have more month than money, and so they're looking for ways to earn extra income. And I think the landscape is changing for churches, and many pastors who have been full-time in the ministry may have to become part-time and look for other ways to create income outside their church. So my goal is to help pastors and missionaries leverage the skills they've developed in ministry and put those into the marketplace through their own business or side hustle for some way to create income outside of their church so they can serve God and provide for their family no matter what.
I love that. I think it's a very timely idea. And Rich, if anyone's listening to our podcast right now and they want to follow up with you, where's the best place for them to do that?
They can find me at morethanapastor.com.
All right, check it out. Rich Avery, I could testify, he's someone who knows what he's talking about, and he does an excellent job with his platform. I even feel like he has a gift for platform aesthetics, and we've talked about that from time to time here on the show. But earlier today, I was actually contacted by somebody who had heard me on Rich Avery's podcast, and we'd actually scheduled the call last week, and today's when we spoke. But we had the quick phone call today. We enjoyed a great conversation. We'll say hello to Ed, who had reached out to me. And at the end of the call, I gave Ed a coupon code. And the coupon code was this. I said, use coupon code video321. And I told him that he could then use it to gain free access to the Platform Launchers Video Vault for 48 hours. And I told him if he did that, he was very likely to find some answers to some of his questions and just all sorts of things that might be useful for him in what he's attempting to build. And by the way, if you use that code video321, it'll also work for you. Just go to the university page at platformlaunchers.com, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see a 48-hour access option right there on the website. And I hope you'll use that. Just click that option, put that code in. It'll make it free for the next 48 hours. But in the case of my conversation with Ed, I didn't sell Ed anything. But what I was able to do was to point him in a direction where he could click a button and then gain access that I know he's going to find very helpful. And I bring up these two examples. The example of the gentleman that contacted me for coaching, and then also this conversation I had with Ed, and Ed heard me on Rich Avery's podcast. I mention these because I want to point out a commonality with both of these stories. Both situations provided a great opportunity for me to direct a potential customer to a button that they could click on my website. And at that spot where they could click that button on the website, they had the option to purchase something that would be helpful to them. And even though I gave one of them free access to some of our training videos, I'm certain that if the content I just shared with him was helpful, he may choose to utilize some of my other resources, or at least let others know that those resources and those tools exist. And if somebody else comes looking for them, they will find the process of purchasing access to them just as easy as these two gentlemen happened to find. Now, a few months back, I was having a conversation with our members club about earning income online. And that's the goal that many of our community members would like to reach. Some of them are already making a full-time living from their online content, which is excellent. Some of us were just talking about that, new streams of income that we've been developing. And that's always encouraging to see. Some of our members are using their platform at this point to make some supplemental income, which is also wonderful. And some of our newer members are still preparing to make their first dollar online, but it's always so fun to celebrate when people actually make that first online dollar. But to those who have not started making an income yet, when we were talking about this a few months ago, I asked the question that I'm going to ask right now. I said, if somebody went to your website, what would they find for sale? What would they find for sale? If they went to your website, what would they find for sale? Now, in a few cases, some of our friends and members had to admit there really wasn't anything for sale yet. And I guess it probably goes without saying, even though I'll say it anyway, if you don't have anything to sell online, you aren't going to make an online income. If nothing is on your website that's for sale, you're not giving people an opportunity to pay you for your knowledge or your expertise. And therefore, you're not going to make an income until you actually make something available to be purchased. Now, if you're not familiar with the name Nick Loper, I'd encourage you to get familiar with his name. He's the host of the Side Hustle Show podcast, and that's a show that I have listened to many, many times. I think it's an excellent podcast. Through the years, I've taken a lot of inspiration from some of the stories that are shared on there, and he's the author of several books. One of his books was edited by our good friend here in Platform Launchers, Jennifer Harshman. But he wrote a book among his several books. One of the books that he wrote a few years back is a book called Buy Buttons. And it's a great phrase that he uses in that book. And we're kind of borrowing that term tonight for our discussion. And by the way, that book I would recommend to anyone that's in online business or an online entrepreneur. I like the term Buy Buttons that he uses throughout the book because it's a reminder that our platforms and our websites should be peppered with buttons that make it very easy and very obvious to be able to purchase the content and the services that we've put together that can help solve other people's problems. So think about your website for just a quick second. Do you have any buy buttons on your website? If someone wanted to pay you for something that you've created or a service that you are uniquely qualified to offer, would they find an easy way to do just that by visiting your online platform? Now, as I'm asking that question, I realize that some of us might still be saying, look, I'd love to add some buy buttons, but I don't actually know what to sell. Well, if that's what you're feeling right now, let me break down a few options that hopefully might spark a few ideas for you. And if one of these options seems interesting to you, let me encourage you to experiment with it. Start offering it on your website as soon as possible. Add a buy button that anyone can click to start paying you for your expertise. But again, if you're looking for ideas, things that you could actually put a buy button next to, let me give you a few suggestions. Here's a few options you might want to start considering. You can begin by offering your freelancing skills. So think about some things that you could do as a freelancing entrepreneur. It could be something with writing. Maybe you're a good writer. You could write something for somebody. Maybe you're good at graphic design. Maybe you're good at programming or web development or marketing or virtual assistants, anything like that. Maybe voiceover. I just got paid the other day for doing just some voiceover work for a local videographer that I'm friends with. You've got websites like Upwork, you've got websites like Fiverr and Freelancer, and these things connect freelancers with clients that are seeking their expertise. So that might be one thing that you could put up on your website and just put a buy button next to, just offering your freelancing skills. Another easy thing that you can do, or semi-easy, is opening an online store. Now, I don't know if that sounds complicated. Trust me when I say it's not as complicated as it might sound, because you could use things like Amazon, or you could use eBay, or you could use Etsy to sell things like physical products, or you could even sell digital products like ebooks and courses or software. I'm not good at programming software, but I know people that have created forms of software that they've been able to sell online, and that's been something they've been able to sell through an online store, who just announced about maybe 2 or 3 months ago that she was going to start selling custom design necklaces in her online store. So this was a brand new venture for her. She had never done this before. And it was really fun to see, because when she announced this, my wife and I, we bought a necklace for our daughter and she really enjoyed it. And within a few days of announcing that her online store was open, our friend nearly sold out her entire inventory. So that was kind of fun to see. So that might be an idea for somebody as you're listening to this podcast this week. Or how about this? If you don't have a product of your own, one of the things that I frequently recommend is that people sell someone else's product. You don't have something of your own to sell, just become an affiliate for a product that someone else created and then share the revenue with them. Now, I'll give you a personal example of how this is working out. We recently had a live event in Hendersonville, Tennessee, down near Nashville. And while I was on a break from one of our teaching sessions, I checked my phone and I noticed there was a voicemail from someone who said, "Hey, I'd like to partner together. You teach courses on online platform development, and there are people within my community that would like to learn that, but that's not something that I offer. And so I wonder, could I sell your courses to my community and then share the revenue with you for each sale that's made?" And I thought, yes, of course you can do that. Why would I say no to that? So here you have an instance where someone said, look, I'm going to create a store, but I'm going to sell your product in my store. I'm going to sell your courses in my store. I'm going to become an affiliate for you. So you can sell someone else's product on your online platform if you're interested in creating a buy button that works that way. Another buy button that you could add is to simply offer coaching or consulting. I've often said, and maybe I even sound like a broken record because I've said this so many times at this point, but coaching can be one of the fastest ways to earn an income online. It's also rather lucrative. Less than 2 weeks ago, I spoke for an author's workshop. And during that workshop, it was online. I actually started talking with this group of authors about adding coaching. And I told the audience that were part of this call, I told them how much they could be making with coaching, but before I gave them a specific number, I asked them to start guessing how much they could possibly earn through one coaching call, which is typically about an hour in length. And people started offering numbers that sounded like a lot to them, but they were under what is the typical average for what a coaching call brings in. And many of them were blown away when I told them that the going rate for online coaching right now is right around $200 an hour. That's a very good hourly rate. And if you have an area of authority or expertise and you start offering coaching or consulting, that might be something that would be very, very useful for you as far as adding a buy button to your website. Something else you could do is if you have an area that you like to teach, you can sell a course. And here's the thing, a course doesn't have to be long, but I'm sure that there's something you can create that others would find valuable enough to purchase. In fact, someone just sent me a course. They sent me the entire content to it, and the course is less than a half hour long. It's just like a mini course, and you could create something like that. And if you use something like Kajabi for your website, that's what I like to use. You can host it right through your Kajabi website. If you don't use Kajabi, you could use something like Udemy or Teachable or Thinkific or Coursera. Any of these would be options that you could use to host your course content and process your payments. And that will allow you to digitally deliver the content that you've created. I'm going to give you one more idea for a buy button. And this is a very general thought, but it might spark something in your mind. And I hope someone finds this useful. But my final suggestion would be this, at least for now: offer a mini service. And what I mean by that is this: I'm sure that there are odds and ends that you're good at doing that others might pay you to do. Have you ever thought about making some of those available online? Have you ever thought about attaching, just a reasonable price tag to these mini services, especially if these are things that could be digitally delivered? And then you just, make it available, put a price on it, add a buy button, and see what happens. There might be a service that you could digitally deliver that others would be happy to pay for. Don't rule it out just because it's easy to you. There are things that you're good at that seem second nature to you that others definitely don't want to do and don't feel adept at doing. And you might be surprised to learn what kind of help others might pay you to offer. Now, this list here that I'm giving us this week, it's really just a small list of suggestions. I could have gone on and on and on with other ideas related to where you could put buy buttons on your website. But I will tell you that each of these options could really help you to gradually earn and gradually generate a healthy income online. I think the important thing is to start making options available. If you're at a spot where you're saying, all right, I'm kind of early in my online platform development, I'm creating content, but I'm not really sure I have something to sell as of yet that I could put a buy button next to, I'm going to just encourage you to make a buy button, make something available, even if you don't quite feel ready to do it, because sometimes people will surprise you by paying you to do things that seem so routine and so easy for you, but for other people, they're not routine, and they'd be happy to pay you to do it for them to save them a little time. It's like a way you can make your superpowers available online and then get your income train rolling. So think about your website. Think about what you've got out there with your online platform, and start wrestling with the thought, maybe I need to put a buy button next to this service. Or maybe I need to create this specific piece of content that could have a buy button next to it. Or I don't have time to create content right now, but I know someone who sells something that would fit really well with what I'm trying to teach. Maybe I just become an affiliate for that and put a buy button next to that on my website. Whichever way you go about it, let me encourage you, even if you don't feel fully ready, give it a shot. you might be surprised at what people choose to pay you to do. Your help and your time is valuable. And there are other people that might help convince you that it is as valuable as it certainly is. Now, before we finish up here this week, I just want to remind you of two very, very quick things that you'll find at the Platform Launchers website. If you go to platformlaunchers.com, here's number one of two. You're going to find a free 21-day platform development planning guide. And I would love for you to download that. It's absolutely free. If you're interested in building an online platform that you want to grow and monetize, this will help you sort your thoughts out. And you'll be able to put them down on paper, and you'll be able to decide which direction you want to go. Just grab a free copy of the 21-day platform development planning guide. You can find that at platformlaunchers.com right there on the homepage. And one other thing I'll let you know about that you can find, again, for free at platformlaunchers.com is our video library. There's 48-hour access that we make available on there. But if you use the code that I mentioned tonight, video321, just do it all as one word, video321, you'll get 48 hours of free access to our online video training library. And you could watch, there's hundreds of hours of video content there that'll teach you how to build, grow, and monetize your online platform. And you could check it out for free for the next 48 hours. Just use that code. Again, video321. You'll find access to that on the university page of platformlaunchers.com. Just scroll right down to the bottom and use that code. And I hope you find it helpful. It's certainly something we're happy to share with you. But that's it for us this week. Thank you again for tuning in. As always, I sincerely look forward to this time together. I'm always grateful that we're able to do this. And we look forward to catching up with you again right here next time. Talk to you soon. Take care.